Digital currencies rallying on the heels of new economic data showing once again that inflation remains high but is slowing down. The consumer price index fell by 0.1% in December. That was its biggest monthly drop since April of 2020, right at the start of the pandemic. That gave some comfort to investors who are hoping the Fed will slow the pace of rate hikes in its fight against inflation. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin jumped above $18,000. Ether rose 3.3% and Cardano climbed 2.3%.
Hello and welcome back to Cryptollennium. Quite an interesting day as the Fed reports lower inflation data for the third month in a row. Bitcoin managed to blast through several key resistance levels. Samsung, of all people, plans to launch a Bitcoin ETF. And a little bit of promising news for XRP holders. So without further ado, please like and subscribe and let's dig in. As you can see, Bitcoin is at a price level we haven't seen since November, but will it last? Well, let's take a look. Personally, I would say be careful with this rally because of the following piece of news. DCG scrambling to raise funds to cover Genesis's $3 billion debt burden. DCG is trying to liquidate its venture capital holdings worth $500 million, which is less than 17% of Genesis's outstanding debt. This is not good. As we can see, Genesis, DCG, that whole Gemini situation is a tower much larger than FTX that has already began to slowly collapse. And if there is another major collapse coming, much larger than FTX, you'd expect the onset to maybe be a little bit slower just because of how much has to unwind. As we know, the lender owes $900 million to users of Gemini's Earn program, but also $303 million to Dutch exchange Bitvavo, as well as money to users of crypto savings firm Donut. 2 days ago, Bitvavo rejected DCG's proposal to repay 70% of its debt. Genesis is apparently in talks with an investment bank, Moelis, to explore its options, but external funding attempts have failed so far. Genesis' parent company, DCG, is seeking to unload its venture capital portfolio at a major loss to raise these funds. If you didn't know this, DCG, which also controls crypto media outlet CoinDesk and investment manager Grayscale, has invested in about 200 crypto projects across more than 30 countries. If they begin to topple, the after effects will be seen in places you may not expect. Even if DCG successfully sells its venture capital holdings, it would not be enough to cover Genesis's outstanding debt of $3 billion because Financial Times sources peg the value of DCG's portfolio at around $500 million currently. It's about 17% or less of the debt that they're trying to raise funding for. Keep an eye on this. We've been drilling this day after day. Just because Bitcoin jumped does not mean that we're out of the hot water. If you didn't hear, inflation is down for the third month in a row, according to today's data. Now, we won't cover this in great detail, but we will look at core inflation as this is one of the more valuable metrics that the Fed looks at when deciding future interest rate hikes or easing. As of last month, the value is 5.69% for core inflation, down from the previous 5.96% in November. Now, this means a few things. It means that the rate hikes are working. They are the most dramatic rate hikes in the history of federal policy. And currently, they seem to be working. We don't know what the end of this looks like, though. Although today is a good day for the markets, for crypto. With the story that we just shared about DCG, the media that we've been covering lately on them, and the fact that inflation is still not even close to the Fed's target, it's safe to say we still have time to stack cash. So truly, is this bullish or bearish for Bitcoin? CPI comes in at about 6.5%. For the Bitcoin price, the course for the rest of January may have been set today. The question was, will Bitcoin continue its mini bull run or will there be a correction? This was decided by today's consumer price index release. The baseline was relatively clear. Most estimates agreed that 6.5 is the magic line that will decide whether it is a bull or bear market in the short term. If the figure is 6.3 or lower, there will be a bull run as the U.S. Central Bank projections from the last FOMC are no longer credible and will be thrown overboard. At 6.3% to 6.5%, the market is likely to celebrate with restraint, although this may already be priced in. At 6.5 to 7.1%, there will be a sell-off. So with that said, it is 6.5. which would either indicate a sell-off or a celebration with restraint, or a celebration with restraint followed by a sell-off. So the actual reason behind today's Bitcoin price rally amid US CPI release, the Bitcoin price rises over 5% in the last 24 hours as the Wall Street economists expect a drop in December's consumer price index. However, the actual reason behind the rally is the technical breakout, also a fall in the US dollar index below 103 after many, many months of using that as support. As expected, the end of the Bollinger Band squeeze saw Bitcoin price moving 5% higher in the last 24 hours. Moreover, indicates the Bitcoin price will continue to move higher and hit 19K soon, which it has at this point. So we spiked to 19,000. Why Bitcoin could correct lower in the short term? So we have a major resistance level at $19,000 that we are currently testing. The next major resistance is $19,200, above which the price might start another steady increase. In the stated case, the price may perhaps rise towards $19,500. Any more gains might send Bitcoin's price towards the $20,000 level. But if Bitcoin's price fails to clear $19,000, it could start a downside correction. An immediate support on the downside is near about $18,000, 650. The next major support is 18.5. It's near the 50% Fibonacci retracement level of the upward move from 17,927 to the $19,000 high. The main support is now forming near 17,800, below which the price might retest 17,000 and maybe see a new bottom for this cycle. On an extremely promising note, Samsung will launch Bitcoin futures ETF on Hong Kong stock market. Samsung has launched the second Bitcoin futures ETF in the whole of Asia. Begins trading on January 13th, tomorrow, or in about a few hours actually. Samsung Asset Management Hong Kong, a subsidiary of Samsung Asset Management, designed the ETF to track the spot price of Bitcoin by investing in Bitcoin futures products listed on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, otherwise known as CME. And before we conclude, XRP holders. XRP up 28% in trading volume amid major inflation report. So according to Nomics, XRP's total trading volume on all of the cryptocurrency exchanges on which it is listed has risen by nearly 30% in the last 24 hours. The figure currently stands at 2.2 billion, representing 11.7% of the token's current market cap. It is also worth adding that XRP's trading volume is the highest of any altcoin in the top 10 by market cap, with the exception of Ethereum. So typically when you see a surge like this in trading volume, you could expect a surge in the price if it has not already happened, relatively similar to the increase that you see in the trading volume. But this could mean something on the horizon for XRP if it hasn't already been gassed out. With that said, we will continue to keep you covered on DCG and that entire situation, because that could pull the entire market into an abyss of doom and create major generational buying opportunities. So if you made it this far, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.